Kay Sarah Stops Pretty Places was a teenager in Hardin, Montana. She was a member of the Crow Nation. She went missing in August of 2019. In September, her family was finally alerted that her body had been found and identified. There have been many missteps by law enforcement in this case. The Bighorn County Sheriff's Office, along with the Bureau of Indian Affairs and the FBI, have largely refused to investigate the murder of Kay Sarah. Her family has worked tirelessly for justice, including protests, marches, legal means, billboards, and rewards for information. 2 years later, Kay Sarah's family is no closer to the truth than they were the day she died. Hey everybody, and welcome to True Crime Paranormal with the Psychic Sisters. This is Katie Weaver, and I'm here with my sister, co-anchor and partner in crime, Christy Brower. Hello.
Hello. Hey everybody.
How's it going?
It's going pretty well, settling back in after camping, and
Yeah.
I actually have had a really cool experience today. A dear friend of ours asked me to take on her goddess collection, so goddess statues and figurines and jewelry and things, and help farm them out to women in our community who we took a goddess course together many years ago, and then we've done other moon ceremonies and various things together over the years, and so I went and picked all of this up today and have sorted it out on the counter in my house, and have been having various people come and pick up things, and I'm going to meet up with friends to take just beautiful goddesses of all lots of different cultures, and I don't know. It's been really fun. It's been really fun.
Oh yeah,
to get to
such an honor.
Spent a lot of my time on that today.
Yeah,
it really is an honor to pass these things on.
Yes, she is a dear friend that we hold in such high esteem. And
yeah, absolutely.
Wonderful. Well, very good. Well, all is well here too. Yeah, doing the mountain of laundry to recover from camping, and just working and just doing the stuff. My dogs are laying around here kind of bummed today, and I'm thinking they just want to go camping.
Yeah, they had fun, and they don't have to do the laundry when they come back.
Yeah, except the little guy who had to go to the vet for a checkup today, routine blood work because of all the medicine he takes, and he's slept literally ever since we got home at like 2:00. He's not gotten out of bed. He's not a fan.
No.
Poor guy.
However, he's been to the vet too many times.
He has, but I had to laugh today because this is my little old Chihuahua that's blind, and he's mostly deaf, and he has to take medicine for seizures, and he's definitely in his twilight, and we every year or so we have to get new labs so that they'll keep prescribing his meds. So we did that today, and they told me he is the picture of health.
Except for, blind and deaf and has seizures.
Yeah, notwithstanding everything else, but his labs look great. So,
well, that's awesome.
Yep. It's been an interesting experience doing what seems like doggy hospice care, except for that, he really is in good shape, except for the obvious, but
yeah.
Anyway, so that's good to note. All is well with little Skippy Jones. We're not over medicating him, and his kidneys and liver are still happy. So, it's all good.
I don't know. Maybe Chihuahuas have 2 livers. Who knows?
Well, Well, today is our MMIW case. It is Tuesday. Yes. And we're actually going to double back to one of the very first MMIW cases we did.
Yeah.
Clear back. This was, I think, in 2020 that we handled this case the first time. And we came back to it because her family is so actively seeking answers and has a huge call to action going on right now. And we decided that this would be a good time to revisit this case. So this
Yeah.
is the case of Sarah Stops Pretty Places.
Yeah.
She was an 18-year-old in Hardin, Montana. She was with a group of people at a house there. There was a male there that was 23, and then two younger women there around her age. And they had been drinking to some degree. And there was an argument, a fight that happened sometime around 2 or 3 in the morning and out on the street where one of the women was trying to leave, and her boyfriend, the man that was there, was trying to make her stay. They were yelling at each other. The other two women that were there were also yelling, including Sarah, trying to intervene on her behalf and help her get out of there. And the neighbors were tired of it and started using their remote to bump their car alarm to make some noise and flash lights and, kind of try to break this up.
Yeah.
And shortly thereafter, a police car rolled through. And that spooked these guys and they all ran. Well, a little while later, the other two women came back to the house, but no Sarah. And they looked around a little bit for her, but they couldn't find her. And the altercation that was happening with the boyfriend continued for a bit, and then he left. And by the next day, she had still not surfaced, and nobody had heard from her. She wasn't answering her phone. It did not make sense. Mm-hmm. So one of the girls she was with is a relative, and so she had actually called the police, and they instructed her that you would have to wait 24 hours to make a missing persons report, which is not true. But this is something we've heard lots of times from people, police that don't want to take cases seriously. They just think they're a runaway, they're a whatever. They don't want to waste their time. So they told her she couldn't file a missing persons report. So she didn't for like 3 more days. And finally files a missing persons report. And I'm going to actually go to the timeline that her family published because it really helps with what, the way this all played out, because it's actually pretty freaking astonishing. But it is honestly something that really needs to be reported on because of the way this has been handled by law enforcement. This is just a cookie cutter of so many other cases.
It is, unfortunately.
Yep. And so finally, so this was on August 24th when she first disappeared. On August 29th, a female body is found next door to the house where Sarah disappeared. Next door. In their yard, up against the fence, kind of in the backyard in the corner. The fence is a chain link fence, and it's on a very active road. And yet there's a body that's kind of covered in a plastic tarp laying there, and nobody sees it for 5 days, 4 days. It makes no real sense. But there is a body found. So her friend, hears this and goes to the court or to, the police and tries to identify the body, and they tell her no, that they've already bagged the body. They don't know if it's Sarah, and they give her no information. They also give no information to the media. Now, there's a lack of communication here between Sarah's family and her friends.
Mm-hmm.
So they're not all on the same page, and that's part of the problem. For the family, of course. But the media isn't told that a body is found, and so there's really nobody really knows. And except for the neighbor who was the jogger who saw the body and called the police.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's there's rumors leaking out, but that's about it.
Yeah.
So finally, on August 31st, her grandmother, Yolanda, who happens to be her legal guardian, her actual legal guardian, she's contacted by her brother, whose granddaughter lives on the Crow Reservation. That's just like a few miles from from Hardin, like a half a mile from Hardin.
Yeah.
And the granddaughter says that she read on Twitter that there was a body found in Hardin on the 29th and that it is maybe our girl, right? Okay, Sarah.
Well,
So,
I mean, it's found next door to where she went missing. I mean, for hell's
right.
sake.
So Yolanda contacts Sarah's mother and aunt and asks them to go check on the tip. So on September 1st, so now it was August 24th that she first disappeared. On September 1st, her mother, Geraldine, and the friend, Priscilla, go to Bullis Mortuary. Now, this gets really weird with the mortuary, which is just so creepy to me considering the case we're covering right now in Pocatello with the mortuary, but this is so suspect. So they go to that mortuary to see if the body is Sarah, and they are told no, that it's not her. So her family is continuing to search high and low for her and just begging for information from all of her friends, and it's just very weird.
Meanwhile, the police are telling them nothing.
Nothing at all. Nothing, and telling her that body is not her. So then on September 11th, 10 days later, the police let Priscilla know that the body actually is Sarah. And so she lets Yolanda know. Again, guardian,
where is
not
the
alerted.
official notification of the family confirming identity? Like, there are procedures for all this shit that they have done none of.
Okay, her family is never officially notified that she's been found by the coroner's office, by the Bighorn County Sheriff's Office, nobody. So then on the 12th, Geraldine, mom, goes into the mortuary, and Terry Bullis, he's the owner of Bullis Mortuary. He's also the county coroner. Now think about the conflict of interest here, that the county coroner also owns a funeral home.
Yeah, huge conflict of interest.
Yes.
So typical of Montana and Idaho to do stuff like that.
Totally. So he tells her that the only way that they can release her remains to the family, is to cremate her. Gives her no choice. Tells her that that's the only way. So she authorizes a cremation without speaking to grandma or dad. And they do that.
Well, and what about the police? What about an autopsy? What about forensics?
We'll get there. So they cremate her. And dad and grandma, when they find out about this, they are horrified because that completely defies their cultural beliefs. And they wanted her remains so that they could do a proper burial for her along with their Crow beliefs, but they were completely robbed of that. And again, grandma was her legal guardian and was completely denied, her rights in that sense. Anyway, so ridiculous. But so that happens. And the family also had said that they wanted to transfer her body to Billings to a different funeral home that would work along with their beliefs. But Bullis said no and said that it had to be at his funeral home.
Wait a minute. He doesn't have that right.
Right. Yep.
How is any of this happening to someone who has been murdered?
Yeah.
Where the hell are the Hardin police?
Yeah. Well, and at the point that happened, actually, her body was actually still at the crime lab in Billings, and he had to go get it and cremate. So
they did have her body at the crime lab.
Yeah, the body was at the crime lab. Well, there's a lot more to that story, actually. Apparently, at some point, Bullis came and took her body from the crime lab before they were done processing it, before they were done with an autopsy, and transferred it to the funeral home. And the crime lab had to go back to the funeral home with a police detail and transfer her body back to the crime lab with a police detail. And according to the crime lab, that happened more than once, that he tried to withdraw that body before they were done with it. And
So
at
what
one
is
point, he actually took it all the way back to the funeral home.
First of all, why is he not in jail?
Yeah.
Second of all, what is his connection to the people there that night having that altercation?
Right?
What
Why?
family member of his was there?
Yeah.
I mean,
why?
come on. I'm not stupid, and it's a small town.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Absolutely.
Obviously, he's trying to cover something up.
Yeah. He has some connection here. It is so ridiculous.
What in the hell?
Yep. So then they discover, after Grandma reaches out to the Deputy Attorney General asking for information on the missing person report for KaySarah, that Montana does not have a waiting period, and that anyone under 21 is considered a child case and should have been listed as a priority, and that she has no idea why there was nothing done.
Oh, I can tell you why.
Mm-hmm. I'll tell you why.
Racist assholes, that's what.
The funeral home director told KaySarah's family that he didn't have a cause of death yet, but they should plan on it being that it was alcohol and drug related.
Oh, they should plan on it.
Mm-hmm. They should plan on it.
Convenient.
That's what he told them. You should plan on it. That this was exposure, that she died of exposure due to
at the end of
drug
August.
or alcohol involvement at the end of August, of course.
In someone's yard where people live. Yeah. Okay, sure.
Sure.
Man, people sure die of exposure a lot in Montana in the middle of the summer.
Right.
What in the... I'm about to say some very dirty words on YouTube, and they don't like that. That just... What the hell? Why is this guy not being investigated? Like,
totally.
What is his role here?
It's horrifying. There's something very wrong, right?
Yeah.
So she has a bit of a history. She actually at school once the year before passed out and was taken to the emergency room and was suffering from alcohol poisoning. So she had a little history, and she had a history of running away. And so, like, one time, I think. But anyway, so this is what law enforcement knows of her. And she's Native American, and this is where they're going, right?
They just don't give a shit
about
an 18-year-old kid. I mean.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
come on.
It gets worse.
Of course it does.
A few days before she died, she published on social media a video of some police officers beating the crap out of a Native American kid in a wheelchair at the Crow Fair. Well, guess who the first officer on the scene was?
Oh, boy.
One of those guys. And those officers were actually investigated and given a warning, or don't do that again.
If nothing is what?
Well, that kid in the wheelchair was her brother. So she literally had just busted these guys and posted a video of them beating her brother in a wheelchair. And then that officer is the first officer on the scene when her body is found.
But what about the night that the fight happens? What officer, because they call the police, the neighbors do.
Yeah, there doesn't seem to be any reason why or what that's about.
So
who that cop was. Yep, that's a big question, is who
the cops killed
officer?
Her? Is that what this is?
Sure makes you wonder, right?
God.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep. So that officer immediately recuses himself from the case. Not immediately, like a few weeks later, after her body is found and identified, he recuses himself.
After it's way too late and whatever evidence was there is long gone. Seems convenient.
They do not. The Bighorn Sheriff's Department, they don't actually start any kind of meaningful investigation for more than a month after she has died. And even then, they really don't ever do any kind of meaningful investigation. They never sat down with her family and interviewed them about her, never asked them any questions. But here's one of the things that her family is so pissed off about. Her cell phone was in her pocket. And the neighbor who was jogging, who found her body, told the family that, because he was watching them retrieve her body, and they pulled her cell phone out of her pocket and bagged it. And he said, why don't you open her cell phone and see if you can identify her family? And they said, we can't, it's dead. They never even charged her phone or tried to locate her family. Nothing. The family demanded the cell phone back, and they acted very surprised to know that they knew that they had her cell phone. And they actually were able to file a form and get it back from them.
They've made no attempt at all
to find her family, to figure out who she was via her phone. They could have solved the mystery of who she was the day they found her had they just opened her cell phone, but they didn't do that. They couldn't be bothered to do that. Yeah. So as you can imagine, it's just been more of the same. Her family has been tirelessly working to get some answers. The cause of death came back as unknown, and it said asphyxiation couldn't be ruled out. Yep.
Asphyxiation couldn't be ruled out?
Yep. That's the whole cause of death.
So she died of asphyxiation. If it can't be ruled out, then it's ruled in.
Right.
Like,
also her blood alcohol wasn't very high. And so and there were absolutely no drugs in her system. And they gave the family something about that they were sending her toxicology off for a deeper look to see if they could figure out exactly what it was.
Because she's just one of those drug addict Indians. Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. You may have noted, if you're watching the video, that I have posted the phone number for the Bighorn Police in Hardin, Montana. Her name is Kaysera Pretty Places. We'll put this also in the show description. Feel free, internet, to work your magic.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because this is horse shit.
It is terrible, terrible. So for the past 2 years, her family has done everything they can think of to get justice, to get some kind of, something from law enforcement. They have kicked the ball back and forth between the Bureau of Indian Affairs, says they can't get involved because they don't have any proof that she died on the reservation, because she was actually in Hardin when her body was found. They do say that law enforcement says that they believe her body is where she died. That does not make any sense at all.
No, so no one noticed it for 5 days while it was sitting there against a chain link fence?
In someone's backyard.
Yeah.
In someone's backyard.
Yeah, that sounds legit, right?
And it was up against the side of a chain link fence that many cars go by every single day. That makes no sense. None of that makes any sense.
No.
But that's what they're trying to claim, that they don't know how she got there, but they don't care to know, obviously. No. So here's why we're boosting the signal of this case, because the family has quite a few calls to action right now. And we thought this would be a good time to revisit this one for that reason. So what you can do that would be very helpful, there's a link in the comment or in the description of this show from Pipestem Law. But if you're not in a place where you can see that, just go to pipestemlaw.com and go to News and Updates and search for Kaysera's case. There is a huge timeline. I've given you guys a sampling of it. There's so much more. There's a huge timeline. There is a ton of stuff going on here, and they have pre-written letters here that you can use as form letters to send to various government entities that need to be prodded along here.
Definitely. I've added on the screen the Montana Attorney General's office phone number and email address, as well as the Bighorn Police, because the Bighorn Police are not doing shit. So maybe what we need to do is go over their heads.
Yeah, absolutely. There is a petition there from change.org that you can sign to try to force some justice. So go over there, follow the link in our show description, or go, find it at pipestemlaw.com and get involved. You guys, if you ever wanted to make some noise, this would be it. So they have ways to send letters to Montana Governor Giannaforte, Senator Tester, Senator Daines, the Montana U.S. Attorney's Office, all of it. Yeah. That they have form letters and ways to contact them there. And they have a way to contact the FBI with a draft letter for them as well. So do those things. Please join us. We're going to do that as well.
Absolutely.
Join us. This is not just for Kaysera, and it's not just for her family. It is for all MMIWs that have received this very same bullshit treatment. This is not new.
How many?
This is normal.
How many of these stories have we told that have happened in Montana?
Oh my gosh.
And
not just Montana. I still can't get over the Fort Hall, the woman in Fort Hall, Idaho.
Rebecca Plentywounds.
Yep, who was dismembered, and her case, they couldn't even call it a murder.
Yeah.
Yep.
Still nothing
going on all over the place. Yeah, still nothing on that case. So there won't ever be any movement in it, apparently. I don't know. Maybe we need a call to action like this. Well, I will say Kaysera's family have been rock stars, absolute rock stars. They have been so loud. There have been multiple protests at the courthouse. There was just a 5K, I believe, a marathon thing that they did like over the weekend. They're still earning money. They are still making noise. They're still publishing. You could go to a gas station and purchase a t-shirt and then be a part of the run in honor of her. And I'm going to love Montana like this next weekend. And I'm hoping to go through that, go to that gas station and buy that t-shirt. I'm hoping I can. I'm going to go try.
Yeah. So is it in Hardin?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll have to see if we can find that.
Right. We'll be there next weekend. So hopefully we can go buy that t-shirt at least and help be a part of the cause that way as well. But anyway, they have worked so hard. And of course, it's not just for justice for Kaysera, it's for all of these women and all of these individuals, actually, because there's so many missing and murdered Indigenous men too. We just have chosen to mostly cover the female cases because they're just near and dear to our hearts, but at any rate,
because there are so many.
Yeah, and there are so many. Yeah. So let it be a call to action. Also, their Facebook page is awesome, and it is Justice for Kaysera. And I highly recommend that you go follow that as well, because they are constantly, it's very active. They're posting on it daily. There's constant work being done.
Well, they need all the support that they can get.
Yeah.
And so everybody listening, watching, go to Pipestem Law, go to Justice for Kaysera on Facebook, go somewhere and help, jump in, We need to show a huge amount of support for these cases and for these families. We need the government to understand that it's not just their families that are pissed about this. There's way more than that, and it should be enough that it is their families, but it isn't.
Yeah.
And
no, we're not going to have it. We're not having this.
We need to bury them under those letters. They need to get so many of them they can never even read them all.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, because seriously, the family has made a lot of noise and they have been ignored. They are told one thing by one entity and then punted over to another who tells them something else. They have been jerked around until I don't know how they haven't just lost their minds. Honestly, like it's unreal. And again, I didn't read the whole timeline to you guys today because frankly, it would take an inordinately long time. Not that it's not worth it, but I'm going to let you do that over at Pipestem so that you can, dive into this case. It is something.
It's time for us to raise some hell, I think. And it's already been happening on a small scale, but we need to we need it to happen on a much bigger scale.
Yes. Yep. Big call to action here. Also, if you want to see a video of the house that she disappeared from and the place that she was found, there is a YouTube video that I believe her friend or her aunt made. It is Justice for K. Sarah on YouTube. They just have one video and it's like 10 minutes long. And it is of that very neighborhood, the house she was at, the house where she was found. Kind of puts it all in perspective for you to look at and go, wait a second.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now everything is fishy, because how could that possibly be the case? How could she possibly lay dead in that yard for 5 days with cars, joggers, people living in that house and nobody know? There's just no, to me, no plausible way that she wasn't either
somewhere else.
Somewhere else and dropped there, or covered a whole lot better. Something, nothing makes sense.
No.
Yeah. So there you go.
Yeah. I got to take some deep breaths.
Mm-hmm.
This makes me so angry. I just can't. The inability to identify people as humans and give them the respect and care and justice that they deserve is truly beyond me.
Yep. Very, very hard to understand. Yep.
Truly is.
All righty. Well, there you have it. So, pardon me, this is our Tuesday case. So, we do want you to know that we have a brand new thing going on around here. The second Tuesday of the month, which happens to be today, we have our cold read party, and that's going to happen tonight at 7. You have to be a member. So all you do is just go to YouTube, right on our page there for True Crime Paranormal. There's a spot for memberships or to join. Click on that.
It says join.
Join, and you can join. Now, if you're a member of Spirit School, you're already in. Just come. If you're not, just join. It's $5 a month, and you can come to the cold read party. Everybody who attends the cold read party gets to bring us a case. So bring us a case, bring us a little bit of info so that we can, make an informed reading on it, and we'll read the case for you. You guys send us so many cases and we just can't get to them all. So we thought this would be a really fun way to, flex our psychic muscles and read more cases than what we can get to in a month. So
yeah. If you've got a near and dear that we haven't got to yet, this is your chance.
Yeah. And you can listen to everybody else's readings too, which is pretty fun. So
yeah,
that's happening tonight. Tomorrow is, of course, our Wednesday show. And then Wednesday night case updates is going to be an hour later. It's going to be at 8 p.m. We're rolling on the train of, being football ants. And
yes,
that means that we actually had moved the psychic hour for the fall. But guess what? His game got changed this week. So we're riding the train. We're sorry, but we know you guys can roll with us. So Wednesday night will be 8 p.m. will be case updates. That will be our live stream. So come and join us then. So you guys have a good day. Thanks for being here. Please, please, please help us get active on this case. Let's make some noise. Let's make sure that the world knows that we're not putting up with this kind of stuff. It's not happening anymore. Yep.
No.
All righty. Well, you have been listening to True Crime Paranormal with the Psychic Sisters. Take care.
Bye, guys.